Load. Load. And sending data, sending data, sending data, sending data. We're live.
Are
That
we really?
was. We're going to double check because we always have to.
Oh, I see.
And ladies and gentlemen, it is almost every week we come up with a new issue. This one was actually not our fault.
I am going to try. Are we live right now?
We're live. We're live.
Hi, guys. I tell you what,
Oh,
there are days.
roller coasters of emotions.
Good night. Okay. Post there. And, okay. So as we're tag teaming this. Do you have the questions up yet, Jay?
I do.
Okay, nice.
That one's to load. Yes, they're up. We're ready to go.
Smile.
Hi. See, guys, this is what makes this fun.
Problem solved. Okay.
All right.
Okay. Hey everybody. We're here.
We made it. Glad
107. Dude, 5 minutes, 6 minutes late. That's not crazy bad.
It's fashionably late.
And again, friggin' golf pros. They changed the app on us on our road connector, and we didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
So thankfully Jackson's here, because otherwise we would not be live right now. So thank you, Jay. Love you long time.
Yes, I'll be here
tech
next
support.
week. Yes.
All right. So you know what? There's one question that was actually brought in. Let me do this. This is gonna be so like old school here, or not even old school. This is the way that Riley does things. So I have a question here, so I'll read off the first question.
Perfect.
Can you demo this with a driver on today's live stream, please? And it is in reference to this video right here on our Instagram. Okay, so in essence, what I'm articulating in this video is like an active release and what we call a passive release. Okay, now the active release, we talked about this a lot. We call this a lot of different things. Either a coronal plane release, so meaning coronal plane, like my shoulder axis is right here. So if I just run that golf club down the coronal plane, it's moving into my trail side, right side for right-handed player like myself. We call this negative alpha force sometimes. We can call it supination, internal rotation, or the actions that happen to move the golf club over here. That's the active release. The secondary release is angular momentum or angular force, which makes this happen. As soon as I turn, see where that club goes. It starts to come out perpendicular to the axis of me, my rotation, my pivot. So really, the entire forward swing, and I'm not sure the gentleman or gal, who is this? Who are you? Who are you? Who you be is? This is Griffin L on Instagram. Really what's happening is both of those acts, I'm actively moving this golf club down that coronal plane as I'm turning. If we do both of those acts together, we'll get both forces combining to give us the geometry of the entire forward swing. So again, the question is, can you do this with driver or show this with driver on today's live stream? So it's the exact same thing. I think the only thing to just be playful with is, if you're looking at again, angular force, the way that I describe this is, see how I turn and it makes it look like I'm just dragging this thing along and it's gonna sling out? It's actually not the release that we would prefer for most folks, that kind of a map. Instead, I'd like that to almost look like a tetherball release. Like if I go up to, got tetherball pole here, the string would hang and the ball's just right against the pole here. So it's not moving at all, okay? If I took the ball though and grabbed it and threw it out, wouldn't it start to go out and around that pole? but it comes from this active, I'm going to send it, like send the tetherball. So the club head, as I move it down this coronal plane and I'm turning, it's okay as you continue to turn to actively send that club head around you. At the end of the day, I don't care if you're Scotty Scheffler, Victor Hovland, doesn't matter what system, blah, 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 blah. Any high-level player on earth, they are going to be actively using their arms and hands through the hit. They're not just pinning these suckers back here and just dragging them along. We're going to go ahead and send them. The release is different with both of those athletes that I just mentioned. But at the end of the day, you're still firing. You're actively firing the arms and hands. And so if I get in here coronal plane with that turn of my chest or my trunk, from here, this right arm is going to go across, the lead arm's moving in this direction, I'm going to send it with the hands. All of that tissue, whoosh, is gone, like we're sending it. And at the end of the day, the whole purpose for loading the arms and the hands is so that we can unload them. So bottom line, what I would like to see, if you're going to work on this, and you can also take a look at this. We've got a video on our YouTube if you want more insight on this. I think it's a funny little title. It's titled like, I think it's Stop Slicing Your Driver, something like that. But we're talking about both of these forces in that video. So to work on this, we're here, coronal plane, I'm turning the chest, see where that golf club gets, and then from here, as I keep turning, I'm going to go ahead and send it out of there. But it's still the same overall map with driver compared to iron compared to wedge. It's the same outlook. You might just have a little bit of like tetherball throw to early release this golf club once you're working into the hit. So hopefully that makes sense. Good question though. All right, that was my one question that I saw on our gram. The floor is now yours, man. Go ahead and find one that's like a nice one that you like, man.
He did the question to let me calm down from rushing into today's live.
Trying to like
Get the breath. Get everything back. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Hello, gents. I don't know if that's how it sounds, but
easy on the gentleman around here.
In my mind.
Hello, Portbit.
Casey, Kevin Coutier.
Okay.
Coutier. Yeah.
Nice.
Guys, again, let me butcher it. I have fun doing it.
we try. We try.
I'm 68 years old and thoroughly enjoying rebuilding my swing from scratch with this system. My question is, with the concept of Orion's belt as it pertains to the driver, which you kind of might have gotten into some of this already, can you demonstrate the transition process with the big club?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. And by the way, what's kind of fun, I know like in some of our funny little silly ads when those pop up, and I think it's me that's like saying like, hey, you know, we want to like build your swing from the ground up. Well, a lot of the folks that we're lucky enough to coach through our online academy, I mean, you guys are just a whole bunch of friggin' golf nerds. It's like the coolest thing ever to hear a lot of these questions. What's interesting is like, I mean, shoot, guys, I grew up from here really working on more of a pattern where I'm actively lowering the arm and actively externally rotating it here. It almost felt like I backed into shots. Like we do drills where we're holding it here and like trying to get the golf club like through the legs that way to square the golf club. So what's fun is like, I mean, Jackson worked on some of those drills. I know Tyler did as well. I did. Like I can still hit a shot that's fine that way compared to, all right, I'm going up in here and it's a totally different type of map. Like those swings are very, very different from one another, especially when it comes from like an athletic perspective. So what's cool is you're just building skills and better understanding like athletic movement to go ahead and balance out a system. I mean, we talk about this a lot as coaches. The other day, like Cameron McCormick posted something on how to create lag, and his whole idea was to like swing the golf club up here with no hinge and then pull the handle down. That will work beautifully for some players and will not work beautifully for others. Right? Depends on where you're at with what you do in your golf swing. For somebody that like early loads it and wants to throw it, that'll balance them right out. But somebody that already pulls on it here, it might make it like you drip in too much of that and now it's catastrophic and you can't frickin' manage your golf swing, manage the strike. So when it comes to Orion's belt with driver, a lot of this, guys, when you're looking at like this little silly Orion's belt, and to like reference what that is, the center of mass of the club or the balance point of the club would be a point in space, a star in Orion's belt. The next one would be the hub, which is the hub is a fancy way of explaining where the hands are connecting. So that's a pivot point, right? This is a pivot. So star, star, and then finally in the lead elbow, another star. So right here I've got boom, 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 Orion's belt, those 3 stars. And what we're saying really in that video is that we're not breaking that star alignment down. This breaks that. So I've got boom, boom, should be another star here, but I just broke it over here. So in essence, we're saying, ooh, still have Orion's belt now because I've moved those 3 points in space, so I keep that plane. Now, that's a way, when I swing up here to the top and I make this action happen, see how I'm taking this plane and it's still, I'm still structured. Even though the plane moves, I've still got the structuring here compared to just doing this, okay? Now, what I would love players to more or less sense is, yeah, can you actively throw that in here and throw internal? You absolutely can. This is an active humerus, taking the humerus bone and actively rotating it internal to make the golf club lay down that way. You can do that, and that's going to be helpful for some. But what I'd really like is, again, we're constantly talking about the golf swing being this like proximal to distal move in the full swing. So if I'm in the backswing here and kind of completed the away swing and I'm getting ready to move into the forward swing, talk often about this pelvic drop and then the spiral tissue going up underneath the lead armpit. That tissue line goes from anterior space and then migrates to the posterior. So if I just like drive this spiral tissue here, making this act, like if I take the ribs and do this, look at the state of where this humerus is relative to the rib cage here. If I take the ribs and actively move them, see how this arm is staying in the same position in space, but the ribs are rotating in here. So where is this moving relative to the ribs? It's both adducting and internally rotating. So if I hold this, and you can kind of see this like you could do this at home, if I'm here and I go ribs, 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 see how the internal state of this has moved the golf club in space and flattened it? From down the line, if I'm right here and I go ribs, 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 look at where that golf club went because this got thrown internal. Boom, boom, boom. Orion's belt is still like organized there. So it's fun when you're looking at this. I've lost my tee.
Here's a cone one.
Where's the what? That's the one that I lost, Jackson. No, it's not. Maybe it is. I don't remember.
Sleight of hand.
Sleight of hand. Okay. So if we're going backswing and I'm in here, if I go ribs, see how that moves that? This humerus bone, again, is now passively moving into an adduct position and to an internal position because of the active movement from the rib cage. So I'd suggest that we just go in here, kind of chill out those arms. Good ribs, good ribs, good ribs, hit. And you'll notice where that golf club wants to lay down. Okay, and along with that, in order to do that well, we've just kind of started to do this with a number of players. We call it, this is like mime mode. So if I'm holding my hands right here on like an imaginary wall, I should be able to move my ribs into each humerus. See how the hands aren't moving on the wall? So I go rib sway over here into this right humerus, rib sway over here into this lead humerus. Okay, now, if I did that from here, this looks a little bit more golfy. So if I go right, left, that's transition. Backswing, transition. If I'm holding the club and I go here, backswing, transition. Backswing, transition. Look at what happens to that golf club. See how it wants to lay down? And that's why we see oftentimes this like really nice chilled out time period in that transitional phase where I'm switching from away swing to forward swing. Because if I'm going proximal, say I'm like into that right humerus here, to distal, I'm gonna go boom into that lead humerus and look at that change in direction here. Floats. Floats. Now I've loaded and I can hit. So these are like here, there. See how long that golf club floats back there. So I think that's a better way, or I guess not even a better way, but just a deep, the scap, how that's moving in space, bloody freaking da. So, yay.
Yeah.
Okay, nice.
We got some live chat good questions today.
Awesome. Oh, I'm glad that we were able to hop on this then.
Yes. All right.
Is this from the X Factor app?
This is from the X Factor app.
Beautiful.
Here we go. Alex. Hi, Riley. I'm a fan from over the pond and an avid watcher of your great content. However, struggling to feel muscle load in the backswing, glutes, etc. Please help.
Okay, perfect. So I would say first off, thank you so much. That means the world to me. Thanks so much for being part of this. Honored to help you. Let's first just define what loading is. Like, I think sometimes it's not so easy to understand. Like, okay, a loaded muscle. I think most people think of like active tissue as loaded, and that's couldn't be further from the truth. Because anytime like I'm taking tissue and I'm activating it, it's shrinking, right? So that's muscle contraction. This is like this is HIIT. Okay, so load is tissue expansion. And think of all your tissue in your body as just a series of like rubber bands. You know those balls that are like just rubber band, mm-hmm. Big old rubber band ball, and they're just tight as a son of a gun. There's boof. Okay. But what we could do with them is those rubber bands like can expand and contract. It's the expansion that's the loading phase. Just like if I take a rubber band and I pull on it or elongate it, that tissue is now elongated, it is loaded. So if I just let go of one side, it would crash back down, and that is going to be tissue activation. So loading, if we're ever loading, we're taking these myofascial lines, and truly guys, if you want to just see the human body, like especially health of human movement, a little bit like in a clear lens, I just hop on the Google machine and just go look like myofascial lines in the body. Just see them. We've got anterior ones, posterior, spiral, arm. There's so many different, there's 8 major myofascial lines. One of our favorite ones is the spiral tissue line. And the whole spiral line, and if you look it up, you'll see this homie looks like this. He's got this beautiful blue ribbon that just like whoop, 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 spirals through and around him, hence the spiral line. So from the base of the skull, going down the neck, over the scap, under the armpit, diagonal across the abdomen to the outer hip complex, down the IT band, over the outer ankle, under the foot, up the inner ankle, goes up the calf, up the hamstrings, right through my ass, right up my cords, and connects back up into the base of the skull. That's the spiral line. So if I'm pressuring this, I can pressure spiral tissue. Boom, that's where that foot would land. If I drop, just doing this is the posterior spiral line. Again, remember it goes up through the calves, up the hamstrings, through my booty. So if I'm dropping that booty, see how my butt, glute max, is expanding? If I push up, see how both booty cheeks dimple? So that tissue now contracts. Activation, load. So the whole load to like P4, I'm going to take this tissue line and expand it. So I'm moving this way. So I actually like rise a little bit, if anything. But now as I continue to turn here and I start to drop the pelvis, the tissue here expands because I'm dropping, loading that whole like booty. And what you'll end up doing is you're going to load up glute max, that's glute max load, and I'm going to load up glute min and glute med. What moves the femur internal is the glute min and glute med, loaded. Now, active internal rotation, passive internal rotation. See how I'm rotating the pelvis into this space? Glute min, glute med, drop, glute max, glute load like a mug. This tissue, massive as well. Think I'm loaded? Hell yeah. So I just take a look at like how, first, did you define load correctly? Is it, in your mind, tissue expansion, or is it the opposite? And look there first, because most of the time, like, we'll see people that are like, man, I just can't load this right glute, and they're trying to like turn it on by shrinking the space rather elongating the space. That would be like a big level up, big level up. Spiral tissue stuff.
All right. Damn, we just keep getting them in. Hell yeah. Ronald.
What up, Ron?
I've been having issues with my lead knee inhibiting me from putting too much pressure on it. Any suggestions for accommodating this issue?
So knees, super interesting because that whole like, I mean, gosh, you got all kinds of ligaments, right? ACL, MCL, you got patella, you got all kinds of stuff, patellar tendon. So number one, I would for sure need to know like what areas we're struggling with in the lead knee. I can almost guarantee you, because most of the time when we get too much stress in the knee, it's especially with lead knee, we're going to have too much stress in the patellar tendon. So oftentimes, and again, like let's take a look at like proper drops. Like if you're in a squat rack and your trainer starts yapping at you, oftentimes what they're going to do is go look to the ceiling. So this is spine extension, and then the knees can't pitch forward. So I'm here. So right now I have very minimal load or pressure in the patellar tendon. My glute is taking that load. The cords in my back are taking that load. Hamstrings taking that load. Like this is all posterior chain expansion, okay? So I would look at that compared to if I pitch the knees forward, see I'm overloading the patellar tendon this way. That's typically lead knee. Trail knee is typically excess banking. So bank is that. This is E version of that foot. See how that like the arch of my foot, I'm trying to slam to the ground, and I'm going to put undue pressure in here. Plus, if we're looking at spiral line's on the outer band. So if we're on the outer edge here, I'm distributing all this energy throughout the entirety of the spiral line, which is a great way to like preserve tissue and avoid injury. So when you drop, I would take a look at, am I dropping here or am I dropping there? Almost guaranteed that when you start to work into the top, like we're overloading this way rather than the drop is in here. So I'm taking my belt buckle and it's moving away from the golf ball rather than closer to it. Easy way to look at it as well. So these shots are more here, drop, gone. Okay, keep that load off the lead knee.
Yes, sir.
It's a guess, but let's start there. Let's start there.
Since we're on this, I'm going to skip. I'll get back to some of you other guys, but since we're on the leg stuff.
Yeah.
Gabriel. Not going to attempt the last name. I'm sorry.
What up, Gabe? How you doing, Gabe?
Ooh. I have a question that I submitted pretty related to this about the lead leg use in the elite system and vertical force generation, and Kyle Berkshire lead leg rainbow if usable, regarding the lead leg use pressuring after P5 in the elite system.
Yeah. So we're talking, you're pretty much talking like this push
Yes.
idea in the lead leg. Okay. Again, everybody, is there a time where jumping is a good way to go about the golf swing? For sure. There's two young ladies that I can think of right off the top of my head that in my 15, 16 year coaching career that I've told to actively jump. Like the exercise was like right here and jump and hit it. And they would do that, literally. Don't make fun of my hops, by the way. Look like Phil.
With them calves, you should be dunking on 12-foot rims.
Dude, they're weights, bro.
Yeah.
They keep me down.
They
don't
spring
go up. So it's not that like ground reaction force or vertical force or jumping is necessarily bad. However, with that being said, I would strongly encourage 99% of the golfing population to stay away from actively jumping. Now, will you go vertical? You should. Should the lead knee go into more extension? Absolutely. But trying to push off in order to make that happen is typically like systems stall suck. Okay, and the reason being is again, like if I go right here and I go jump, what tissue group, muscle group is primarily activating in that action? Glute max big time. So if I go drop, glute max load. If I go jump, active. And what do we try to stay away from for most of the population? You get this stupid fat, early extension. Extension's a very, very, very good and necessary thing. It just depends on how we're getting there. Early extension is another form of just saying that the glute max is too early in its activation. Because if I swing it right back here and I go jump, right glute max. If I go jump with both, this is even worse because this is like stall out of rotation big time. I can't turn it all here. Okay, and there's like, we could go into the anatomical like parts of this, and even if we're like dropped in here and I go jump here, this push off, I mean, even though I'm trying to elongate this knee, number one, you're gonna overdo it probably, so now we got knee issues again, because what you're gonna do is probably hyperextend that knee over and over and over and over and over again. Cellular damage, inflammation, pain, blah, blah. Okay, and what it typically does is it's going to shoot me more my trunk away here and get me into too much extension this way, and now I have to recover that and guess with the arms and the hands, and it's just mucky most of the time. I'm not saying 100% of the time, but you got to be a special someone that's like, dude, I just kind of stay in here and hit shots like that for me to go jump. We don't see that very often.
No.
We typically see the opposite pretty often. So again, how this works, spiral tissue, is if I'm in here, let's say that I get to P4, which all we're doing is going turn, 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 and then I'm going to drop. As I'm doing that, and you'll see this in Rory, like this lead knee, see how the lead knee goes into more flexion state as I'm dropping here, and I pressure this lead side. From right here, I don't even have to try to get lateral here. If I'm over here, this is a principle, midline this direction. If I drop, where does it look like my pressure is going? Almost everybody goes, oh, it looks like it goes into your heels. You're exactly right, but the principle is my pressure is moving in opposition of my midline and where it's pointing. So if I'm here for a right-handed player and I'm turning my midline away and I start to drop, even though I'm trying to just go straight down, where's the pressure going? In opposition of where my midline is, so I put pressure down this lead leg, I'm in there. Now, from here, all the flexion state here, if I'm trail hip, pivot heavy, which a lot of this, okay, again, is so I can get my rib cage moving forward because I'm not shoving my pelvis up here. If I do this and I keep turning here, what happens to this lead knee is it starts to extend. So it extends because of proper rotation. And that's because the pelvis is moving both away from where the golf ball would be and away from the target. So it's here, there. This also doesn't mean that my weight or my pressure now goes away from the target. It can. This is a long drive look. They'll get a ton of pressure here and then they go woo. So we call it the fish hook pattern, where the center of mass goes whoom away while we're sending the energy this way. You'll see it out of a lot of players. Like there's a ton of guys on tour where they'll de-weight that lead foot. If you look at Patrick Reed, that foot, like once he's in here and he hits, it'll skip over here. And the reason being is because all this tissue's pulling up, back and away from the golf ball, and it de-weights that lead foot and pulls it away from where the golf ball is. Now that's a high energy rep, and that leak experience these ground reaction forces that as soon as I start to turn here, the ground reaction spikes a heck of a lot more because I'm heavier because of that action. But again, what's interesting, it's a proper rotation and proper mapping in good rotations that creates the extension state in the lead knee. You don't need to jump. So if we're looking at this from this angle, I'll do this slowly. Here, start to drop, swivel, upper spiral. Look at what happened to that lead knee. So from down the line, we're gonna see here, drop there, and see how extended this lead knee is. And what you'll also see, and I love this out of players like Hovland, you'll see this for sure, he'll drop in, boom, see where that leg is posted? It's posted more up into me rather than up this way. This is not posting into the lead side. That's just shoving your pelvis up here and you have to tilt on it. If I'm in here, proper pelvic look at that lead leg, pelvis underneath the rib cage can just motor. So as I keep turning, that's posting properly with that lead leg. So yes, is there such a thing as ground reaction force, vertical force? Absolutely there is. We can read that. But most of the time if I go, hey, show me more vertical force, Jackson. Jackson's going, I got it, I'll just jump. Let's just jump. Mm-hmm. So what does that shut off?
Rotation.
So now how do you square it? So now we're guessing. That's the problem with some of these terms, right? Ground reaction force, vertical force, jump, okay, got it. And now it messes up the bottom. There's a lot of different ways to create speed. Mm-hmm. Doesn't have to be that way. So hopefully that answers that question.
I have a crazy thought that just popped in my head is I was just thinking snowboarding. Like if I'm going and I want to do a spin off of a jump, if you jump too early, you can't spin. You have to stay in your edge.
So what do you need to do?
You got to coil up. And then it's just a little, just a little vertical.
Yep.
Just a little.
Yep.
All spiral tissue though.
Yeah, man. Rotary stuff.
Kyle Bateman. What's up, brother?
What's up, Kyle?
Can you talk about the hand path and the takeaway with the feeling of the trail hand pushing in a 45-degree angle, DJ mode? Find when I do this, I get the arms pushing too far away from me.
Yeah. So the argument could absolutely be made that in DJ's pattern that his hands get pushed too far away from him. However, who the hell's going to go in there and take that away from?
Me.
That kind of a player. Right. So it's not necessarily about like looking a certain way. It's quirky. It's kind of a one of one. I will say a lot of Butch's students actually do a version of this, and I think what Butch is always trying to do is keep the upper arms more in front of the player. Like if you watch Tiger, like how he used to preset, is he'd go this way, like the handle actually goes out and away on the plane, and see how tall the leading edge is right there? Okay, now DJ, what he'll do is he'll pronate more like in the start and extend so that face gets really shut. He gets a ton of bow here, like because of that early set of the hands. But if you look at like Adam Scott, Tiger, Nick Watney, like all these guys that used to really work heavily with Butch, if you watch the right elbow, see where that right elbow is now? It's in this anterior space. I've got it still in here. So if I'm here and now I turn and lift the lead arm, look how nicely that stays in front of a lot of Butch's students. Like I don't know if I can think of one of Butch's students who's like heavily retracted with this trail scat to get to the top, like a la Jake Knapp, right? And again, not that that's a bad thing. Like we're not going to remove that out of Knapp as well. Like there's these funny little quirks that like a lot of these high-level players have. And the question is more, well, how do they balance that out so it works for them? And obviously they hit the golf ball extremely well. So a lot of the purpose of that 45-degree angle kind of going that way, right, with the pressure of this trail hand, this extension state. Again, look at where it gets this right humerus bone relative to my rib cage, or the elbow, like just its general, like where the elbow moves relative to my midline. So it moves like actually more here for me, which this goes hand in hand with like the whole main concept of the full swing, which is the golf swing, full swing, is a proximal to distal outlook. So even if I'm here and I go bump, I could do it with the hands. This is more of a distal move. Like what DJ does is he's distal to proximal in his backswing because he pushes here and pressures here. Compared to other players that we really love, like they'll be really heavy with the chest. But again, my midline right now is here. If I start to turn, so I'm turning my midline into this arm. So I'm trying to get this tissue going underneath here. Like you'll see, watch my lat line. Like see how the lat gets pulled away from the humerus? And so that arm now is more across my midline than it was even at the address position. Proximal to distal movement. So if I did, this will neutral it out for you if you wanted just the look of being more neutral. We'd go rib cage or upper spiral. I'm going to leverage the hands and look at where the hands now get taken in this like little gradual curve. If I go here, 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 compared to DJ, boom, turn, see where they're at now. Okay, because if I do this, see how that lead arm goes into flexion state, so where do the hands go? They're out on top of the plane. If I do it with my chest, see where I am here, still the same move, but look at where the hands are relative, like in the same P position. If I go boom, turn, or if I go boom, turn, look at the difference there. So it shallows these out just a little bit. So it's personal preference, but like DJ's quirk is a super cool quirk. But most guys are going to be kind of in that latter direction where it's like, okay, chest goes, chest goes, chest goes, then the hands go ahead and load after that, or in response to that. Good question.
All right. Justin, thanks a lot, guys, for all the advice you're giving. I'd love to know more about 50 to 70 yard bunker shots. I have absolutely no idea how to approach it. Could you give any advice? Thanks.
Well, that's fine. None of us know how to hit that shot. That's the hardest shot in golf.
It is the hardest shot. It's a hit and hold.
So just running in here really quick. Oh, I went all the way over there because usually that's where my clubs are, but they're not. Don't mind me. So I'm just going to grab sand wedge, and then I'm going to grab 8-iron. A look at the short game masterclass because it'll go over, you know, all of this is going to be under the pitching technique. Pitching technique is obviously pitch shots, go figure, sand play, sand shots, and distance wedges, all same kind of technique. And then there's chipping technique. Chipping technique and bump and runs are all kind of under the same kind of guys. So that's how we're differentiating between the two. So if you've got a green side bunker shot, can we got in here and just hit one like in that pitching, like that understanding of the pitch shot right there. Like that one is pretty easy because of the loft of the club. Like you can be aggressive through the hit and it's not going to just blast on you with a high lofted golf club. Now let's say that we have like a 30, 40, maybe even 50 yard shot. I'm going all the way to 8-iron, but guys, seriously, I'll use 60, 56, 50, pitching wedge, 9-iron, 8-iron, all as like blast type shots. And all that we're doing is we're having the loft of the golf club help you out with how far you've got to throw it. So if I get in here and hit the same kind of shot, like that ball right there, obviously it's off of kind of a fluffy lie, but that flew 34 yards. Same energy here with the 8-iron, that just flew 62 yards. Now, obviously, that's not going to be the same because if that's in a sand medium, the ball is going to come out slower than that. But at the end of the day, that ball went twice as far with the 8-iron. So let's say I have a 20-yard bunker shot with sand wedge using the same technique with 8-iron, I can throw that 40 yards really easily. 60 or 70-yard bunker shots. That's the difficulty of this, is you're right in that you're just starting to get into a spot where you can't blast it 70 yards. Like we're not going to go, hey, grab 1-iron, throw it open, blast that thing in there.
Just go driver off the deck.
So what you're going to have to do, and I would just practice a lot of this because it'll help you so much. If you have a place where you can practice these shots and hit a bunch of golf balls in a row from that bunker at 60 or 70 yards, it's the same technique that you would use from a fairway 60 or 70 yard shot. But you've got to be able to control your bottom out at a really high level. Now, crash course on this, in the backswing for these finesse wedges, the lead arm's just going to go across the body as you're swaying the ribs forward. And just think of like your head as moving down and forward in the backswing as the lead arm's going across. See this? So down and forward as that lead arm's going across right here. From there, your dome piece is going to go up and forward as you're unloading the golf club. Now, the reason we want the dome to go up is because the club should be unloading at the same time. See, if I just go up here, what the club head has to do, how it unloads, but I've got to control the bottom out and it needs to be far enough forward. Now guys, just because I'm saying bottom out is in front of the golf ball, maybe there, I am not saying that's where the divot starts. I feel like a lot of folks go, ooh, that's where the divot should be. And even in like an explosion style shot, we still almost want the bottom out in the same spot, close to the same spot, but that doesn't mean that that's where we start our divot. So an explosion bunker shot, we're gonna still start the divot here, look like this. So what we really need to do is just move that divot there. So now I got ball first. So what controls the bottom out? Your sternum or your rib cage. So notice when I'm explaining this, the dome will go down and forward, up and forward. What's the common theme?
Forward.
Forward, exactly. So if I'm right here in that 70-yard shot, I'm gonna go down and forward, up and forward so the golf club can unload. Look at where it unloads. Look at where sternum is, it's way up here. So this will be the same for a fairway shot. It's the same technique. Just like in a 60-yard, 70-yard bunker shot, it's the same darn technique. I will say, guys, like if you hit it a little bit heavy, you're way more penalized in the bunker shot than you are in a fairway shot. You just are. It is a more difficult shot. So I'd practice it if I were you. But the big deal is you can still go down on it. You just have to have your bottom out far enough forward. Down and forward, up and forward, and as I unload that, now I've got the bottom out far enough up there that it's not going to be nearly as scary in the bunkers like from that 60 or 70-yard shot. It just takes some reps to understand that so that you can find the strike. And if you can hit it solid from there and control the pressure on the ball, you've got a friggin' fighting chance, even though that's a very difficult shot. So first off, good luck in that situation. Second, stay away from that situation. It's a hard freaking golf shot, no doubt about it.
We know hits in the what you call a fairway bunker.
I'd rather hit 7-iron from 180 than probably have that 70-yard freaking bunker shot, man.
1,000%. Can you imagine what was going through DeChambeau's mind on that U.S. Open?
That was such a good shot.
That was
unbelievable shot. Unbelievable shot.
Well,
I'm curious how far that was.
I think he was saying it was like 35 for 40 yards.
Yeah, because he's still using explosion style shot. It's not like he's friggin' like nipping 50, it.
Though.
Yeah,
it was the weird one.
It was the weird one, the tweener, the tweener.
All right, Jason Marshall. Aside from ability to move pressure in a way swing, would being too close to the ball at setup be an obvious issue for face, contact, and path? Just rewatch setup videos and feels like low-hanging fruit.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So when it comes to that, and it sounds like we're not even talking about like pressure necessarily. It's more like just if you're too close to it.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily that you're too close to it. Like if you watch Tiger hitting wedges, it's like his hands are so close to him hitting wedges. I mean, he's like right in here. Now you're probably not going to hit a shot with 5-iron like that unless you're trying to like hit some kind of a specialty shot like a little flat stinger or something like that, but it's more where your pressure from like this north to south direction in the feet is at setup. So more north is going to be more toe bias in the setup position, more south is going to be more heel bias in the setup position. Now, of all the guys that I really like their movement, like Keegan Bradley is one of my favorite movers. He's a great dropper, great rotator, does all the stuff, but he's unique and that he starts dropped. Most guys, if you're following their like pressure track from north to south in their golf swing that are turn and burners, you're gonna see them more ball of the foot toe bias. And the reason being is obviously, we're moving in the golf swing. We're not real stagnant with our body. We're moving all over the place. We're turning a ton. All kinds of stuff's going on in your body, right? Now, if you're looking at this ability to drop, again, we don't want to invade with the knees, and I'm dropping in here. So again, where is that pressure moving? It's moving into the heels. So if I start in the heels, which typically means that, like, see how close that golf ball would be? I'd be like right in there. So I'm close to it because I'm already started dropped and heel loaded. So where's my range of motion? Exactly. I can move this way all day, which this is a problem. Now I have no room, and you can't shoot all the energy out. It comes back into you just to find the face. So what I'd love players to do, and it's not like we're just getting toe loaded any old way, it's from the pelvis, like right in the hips. If I hinge from the hips with my chest and I'm just like falling forward with my chest, a little catch with my knees. Now look at where the arms hang. Look at that. Now I've got all this room, and more importantly now I can drop in transition. This is also interesting. Most people think that drop in transition means that I'm further away, so I'm going to toe it. It's actually the opposite. If I drop, look at where the club goes. If I extend, look at where the club goes. So it comes into me, that's toe ball. So this shot right here, I'm gonna go back, drop, and then I can hit. But see all that range of motion that I can like stay away from it, move away in here and turn on it. And you got room to move, room to drop, right? If I'm here, I've got this room. If I'm here, I've got this room. So which one do you want? That's the question.
Beautiful. All right, Joseph Cordova.
What up, Joe?
When the club is floating at the top, what direction is the rib sway for the downswing? Ball line, toe line, towards the left armpit?
So wrong map, okay? We hear this all the time because friggin' humans are so funny. We do not see curved shapes well. We see lines. And like when we're describing the spiral line as pulling the player up, back, and away, just hear the 3D space that we're speaking in. Up, back, and away, okay? It's constantly curving. So think of like a roller coaster ride when we're going, how curved that would be. So if I'm at the top, yeah, rib sway is lateral in its movement. Like I could go sway, 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 but we're also turning at the same time. So when I'm saying up, back, and away, from this neutral position, up is, it's vertical in its nature, the spiral tissue, here to here. So if I expand that, so that pulls me up. It also moves from the anterior space to the posterior space. So it's rotational in its shape as well. So the back portion of the up, back, and away means that I'm moving back away from the golf ball. Up, back. See where this tissue is pulling me? Away from the ball. Now, away is away from the target. Up, back, and away. See how it continues to curve me? It's almost like if I did this. If I do this, it goes at the camera. If I do this, it goes at the camera. See how I'd have to keep like moving until now, oh, it's going, it continues to go on that roller coaster ride that way. Okay, so what I'd encourage you to look at is more, once we're in here, up, back, and away is that. See how it's this curve, that spiral tissue is moving on. So yeah, rib sway is cool and it sounds real fancy, and it is a thing. Like, it's okay for the ribs to move off because I know I can get it back forward, off, boom, rib sway, right? Plus it's like, ooh, it kind of looks nice. Like, it's funny how, you know, you see certain athletic movements, you're like, I like what that looks like. It looks right. Okay, so it's not that rib sway is negative. I would use it more from a standpoint of controlling low point really precisely. Because if I go here, there, now I've got the low point. If I do this, now I've got the low point up here. If I do this, now the low point's back here. So where do I athletically want it to be so I can really control that low point? From a, your ribs from a standpoint of being able to control toe strikes or toe bias strikes compared to heel come from the golf ball. So if I go in here and I drop and I invade, so see how this rib sways all the way in here, and I unload it, way too heel bias. If I'm more extended this way, I'm gonna be definitely toe bias. So how much do I wanna stay away so now I'm the proper distance away so I can hit it right in the middle of the face? That's how we would control it, but it's so cool because the ribs just do so much in controlling the ease of the strike. And if you want to be able to control the ribs at a really high level, that's where the pelvis is massively important. This supports this. This supports these. These are the hitters. So if we can look at the golf swing like that, it'll help you a ton compared to like, well, which like real specific direction do I like sway the ribs? Too far down the rabbit hole in my opinion.
Find a lot of my students, they struggle with the rib action because they're trying to keep their head still.
Yeah, do not keep your head still.
If you're playing with a buddy and he says, dude, keep your head still, you tell him no.
Or you go, yay,
yeah.
and do the thing that you want to do, hit a great one, and everybody's happy.
Yeah.
Because they'll go, see?
See? And
see?
you go, yeah.
Worked, huh? See?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
Alrighty.
All right, let's nail one last one here. 3 minutes left.
All right, Colonial. I'm struggling with the drop and swivel while keeping the chill out wave at the top. Club continues to pitch out if you could spin. I just had it.
That's an easy one, actually. Yeah, because it's improper structuring of the arms. Like if you can't like float them up there, it's because we've got too much posterior arm line load. Like you can adduct too much or too much shoulder flexion, and now I can't, like if I have all that loaded, how do I keep that there? Because I'm already hyper loaded. So as I go this way, like it's gonna go with me and it's gonna get thrown over the top. So what I'd love you to sense, again, if we're proximal to distal, I'm gonna load the posterior trail arm line big time. See how like slacked out this one is? Like in fact, I could go without a dual point of contact here, I could turn it like massive and keep this down here. The thing that drags it is the right arm. So if I'm gonna get that connected, I'm here. But look at how the right arm is across me. This looks a little bit funny, but watch how cool this is. Yeah, boom. Ooh, that didn't move at all. So we wanna load the posterior trail arm line. Then as I drop swivel ribs, now I've bounced into, now I'm loaded and can fire. And that's why it floats. So we would go here, there. See how long that can float? We're here. Look at how long the arms and hands and club just float up there because we're bouncing from trail posterior arm line to lead posterior arm line. Just feel the space there. That's why it floats up there. We're not pausing. We're just trading from posterior to posterior, posterior, posterior. Then you can fire and hit. Good question. So pay attention to those arms relative to the rib cage and the swing start.
Nice.
Buenos. What we got it done? Q&A. I didn't think it was going to happen, if I'm being super honest today.
Yeah,
I didn't think that was going to happen.
There was steam coming out of the ears.
There was, yeah, off of our bald domes.
Yes.
Lots of steamus.
Nice.
So thanks, guys, for hopping on. Awesome to rock with you. To conclude, I've got, again, a bunch of lovely swing analyses that I can't wait to get to. I've got time allocated tomorrow in the morning to rock with you guys. So expect a response on those tomorrow, probably midday sometime, but I'll be flowing through them, so I can't wait to take a look at them. In the meantime, keep us posted. Any questions that you have, write them down, send them in. Can't wait to answer them for you and hit some friggin' flushies.
Lay them down and slack them, jack them.